Hi guys, I'm back. I thought I would do a fight archives review. Tyson Fury vs Dereck Chisora, the first fight. I'm gonna do a few of these fight reviews, all the old heavyweight fights. We're gonna try and review them and get them in here. So let's first talk about it. Dereck Chisora vs Tyson Fury. The first fight was for the Commonwealth and British title. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down leading into the fights for both fighters, what they were touted as, what they were, how their records showed, what they brought to the table coming into the first fight, their strengths, their weaknesses, and then just going through the actual fight and actually getting a better look at how the fight went. And yeah, just the overall review on the fight. So leading into the fight for Tyson Fury, prior to this fight, Fury had looked a little sloppy against Jeremy McDormand. Most people felt, and I did as well, felt he lost the first fight. But he won the points decision. But to Fury's credit, he fought the rematch and he stopped McDermott. So prior to this fight, Fury was quite young, but that was the one fight where he did look a bit sloppy. Vulnerabilities were shown. He was kind of slugging it out. He was taking some shots and shots that he shouldn't have been taking against the likes of John McDermott. He did stop Nascimento, and he outpointed Zach Page. So he didn't fight. I mean, his best name on his record is probably Nascimento. He was just coming up himself, but Fury stopped him. So Fury is not fighting the best. This was definitely Fury's biggest test. Dereck Chisora coming into this fight is definitely his biggest test, and definitely this was the stage to prove it, to see how good Tyson Fury was, and to see what he can actually bring to the table. Leading into the fight, Dereck Chisora, on the other hand, had it fighting the much better competition. Obviously, Dereck was 27 at the time, so he was a much older. Fury was about 22, so Dereck had a bit more experience, but at the same time, he was still undefeated. He fought, 14, 9 KOs. Tyson Fury 14, 10 KOs. So they were both basically novices. Just Fury being a bit younger, but they were both quite young in the game of boxing. But leading into this fight, Dereck Chisora, he had stopped Sam Sexton. Sam Sexton was highly touted. He was proved to do big things, and that was quite a close fight in terms of going into it. The press, were kind of more on Sam Sexton's side, given Chisora's behaviour outside the ring, and people were putting Sam Sexton to be the next big thing, especially coming into the British scene going forward. But Chisora stopped him, and he also stopped Danny Williams. Obviously, Danny Williams is well known for beating Mike Tyson, and old Mike Tyson now prime, and also Danny Williams was quite beating a few guys on the British scene, but Dereck stopped him as well. And he also stopped Carl Baker. So Carl Baker, who before that I think was only stopped twice, and that was quite early in his career. So Dereck stopping him then as well. So Dereck was having the momentum, obviously stopping the guys that he should be stopping. Maybe the power was more on Dereck's side as on Tyson's, because obviously Tyson going life and death against John McDermott, stopping him in the second fight, but showing vulnerabilities. Dereck not showing the vulnerability, showing a good chin, having the old school come forward approach. So a lot of people thought he would put the pressure on Tyson, and if guys like McDormand could put pressure on him and make him slug it out, then we thought if he did slug it out, Dereck would be the leading favourite. So going into the actual fight, Dereck was definitely the favourite, and the odds I can get up for you guys, the exact odds were, I think it was it was 5-1 was Fury was the underdog. So Fury was the underdog coming into this fight, and the actual fight was contested on 23rd of July 2011, and it was for the British and Commonwealth titles. It was at Wembley, and although Chisora was 27, again, like I said, both guys were novices, undefeated British level. It was a real big fight to be made. It was promoted by Mick Hennessy, and it was shown on Channel 5. And obviously this was an interesting fight because it was said to have been done. We don't know if it's true or not. I don't remember seeing the exact figures, but Mick Hennessy did say it did about 5 million views. So they promoted the hell out of this fight. Dereck Chisora coming through And, I forgot to mention, prior to this fight, Dereck Chisora had bitten one of his opponent's ears. So he was known as a bit of a bad boy. He was promoting it. He was kissing opponents. I think he kissed Carl Baker. He was a bad boy coming to this fight. And Fury, outspoken gypsy, same kind of thing. Not as volatile as Dereck, but definitely outspoken. And they promoted the hell of the fight. Shouting in the press conferences, doing media uploads. So this fight was promoted well. It was a big fight. Both guys were outspoken. Both fights were going to need... both guys coming into this fight were young and were unproven. Dereck may be fighting the better opposition and not showing the vulnerabilities. But then again, Fury showed vulnerabilities, but is the taller guy. The bigger guy, the longer reach. So it was quite an interesting fight coming into it. But, like I said, despite Fury's reach and his size, Dereck was the favourite. So, the referee was Victor Loughlin. The judges was Ian John Lewison, Richard James Davis, and Phil Edwards. And this was the first defence of Dereck Chisora's titles. So, in terms of the actual fight and how it went down, it was quite an interesting fight. I think what was more interesting was coming into the fight, especially in the weigh-in. Dereck Chisora came in a career heaviest. And both guys weighed in. So Fury weighed in 256, which was very good for him. That's probably his ideal main weight, 256. So he was fit, he was in shape. That's a very good weight for Tyson Fury. So he was on track to do what he needs to do. Whereas Dereck Chisora came in a grossly 261, which was his career heaviest. And it wasn't muscle, it was pure fat. So Dereck Chisora probably wasn't living the life. Maybe them Sam Sexton paydays, he kind of milked it. Again, Dereck Chisora was known for being a bit of a rowdy guy. He had a lot of incidents with his girlfriends that were, quite well known. Abuse, partying, being that crazy character. So him coming in 261 was a little bit of a surprise, but not a surprise because, again, it's his biggest fight of his career, defending his titles. But I felt like it looked like Tyson Fury was a bit more hungry in terms of living the life and making sure preparing for this fight well. So Dereck Chisora came in a grossly badly out of shape, and it told in the fight because he didn't have the stamina and the endurance to continue coming forward for 12 rounds because the fight didn't last 12 rounds. And Fury won it via unanimous decision. He landed more, when I remember watching the fight back, he landed the more clean, effective punches. He landed a lot of right hand. The fight was a slugfest. It wasn't a controlled, measured, take your time. It was a slugfest. The guys were, credit to both guys. They went at it from round one. Fury didn't really use his jab. He was fighting in the pocket. He took a lot of shots. Both guys showed a great chin, but they both took some shots. Dereck Chisora had to go on the back foot at times because he just didn't have the engine to go. Fury targeted him well. And Fury landed a hell of a lot of shots. Dereck Chisora showing a great chin as well. But the momentum was shifting. There were times where Dereck would just throw looping shots and push Fury back, which didn't have the engine to continue. So Fury outworked him for most of the rounds, and he won a well-deserved unanimous decision. And yeah, it was a great fight. It was, it wasn't the best fight, but both guys were throwing it. This is a fight where Fury, he didn't use his reach. He actually fought in the pocket. He was doing well to tie Chisora up every minute he could, and then fire combinations and then move back. So that was quite good. And you just felt that he had the more tools, going into the later rounds. Chisora was kind of on the ropes with a tight guard, and they would kind of swing a big punch here and there. But Fury was kind of controlled. He didn't seem, hurt or kind of buzzed to the point where he wasn't in control. And when Chisora was swinging, Fury had a high guard, so he wasn't really landing that many. Chisora did land a few shots and get it twisted, but one thing about Dereck Chisora is there was a weird thing. Sometimes when he wouldn't rotate his punches correctly, so you wouldn't get the full power on it, which that was what I mentioned. So Fury threw a few good uppercuts. He couldn't really control Chisora with the jab. Again, this was a very early Fury, so he didn't have that mastered jab. But he did well to nullify Chisora in the inside, and he outworked him, and he won a comfortable unanimous decision. So it was a great fight to watch. And then obviously Fury relinquished the titles to not fight David Price. Take what you want with that. And this was Dereck Chisora's first loss of his career. And kind of a wake-up call for him, because you've got to live the life and you've got to be in shape. Yeah, not to say if he was in shape he would have beat Fury, but he would have definitely put in a better performance, you know. But yeah, this was the first fight. It was a barn burner. It was a great British title fight, and it's one for the memory book. So let me know what you guys think about this video, if I should do more of these. And yeah, I'm out.